Hey there everybody, Steve here. Steve Poole, filmmaker extraordinaire, if you will. I think that's kind of how all filmmakers have to perceive themselves. I'm the guy you want. Just busy at work on a new film project. I'm currently, because I do all this stuff by hand, I'm very old school like that. So I'm currently shot listing. This is kind of how I do it. Organizing scenes, figuring out locations, all that stuff. This upcoming project, I just started like a Facebook page for it. I'm currently in the early stages of trying to get it cast as I'm getting the script finalized and all that stuff. So it's all very early going here. And in being in that vein, also this film is much different from things I've done in the past. And obviously, if you're watching this, in all likelihood, you don't know who I am. Unless you're somebody I've worked with before, somebody who just knows me in general, what have you. I mean, if I had to pick a focus style that I do, it's kind of in between drama and comedy, a little bit of suspense here and there. This particular film's going to be a lot more suspenseful than my prior work. Much darker than a lot of my prior films, although I have done some, semi-dark films as well. And in addition to that, kind of that being a new plane that I'm going on, this is also going to be one of the first film projects I do that's going to be primarily shot in the winter time. Because I have considerably less resources than your average run-of-the-mill filmmaker. Even people who have minimal budgets. I've heard people talk about how they get $10,000 and they can't figure out how to make their film, and I'm like, my first feature film, I spent about $250 doing it, and half of that was just gas money. Not that that's how I want every film production to have to go, but it is very possible to do a lot with very little, especially when you love what you're doing. And in the past, pretty much every film I've done has been shot between April and October. My first feature, there was like 2 shooting days we had to do in November, and thank God it wasn't super cold and raining, because we couldn't shoot in either of those conditions, and we were coming really we were coming up against that wall of like, we have to get this done, or the film's not going to get done. So pretty much most of the filming I've ever done has been between April and October, so I've never really done a film during the winter, and I feel like doing something that's somewhat dark and suspenseful. I don't want to get too much into the storyline, the subject matter now. That will come out more as time passes, and I'm planning on beginning shooting this thing hopefully sometime in January. We're still talking like 2 months from now. And obviously I want to get past the Christmas season. I don't want to be jamming film work and bringing in actors and crew people, butting it up against Christmas with all the, drama and insanity that comes with that. So probably sometime in January, worst case scenario, end of January, start of February. Likely to be finished before February's over. I don't want to shoot like December and January because it's the dead of winter. I have exteriors to do. I don't want to freeze my camera because we're having to shoot and it's like 25 degrees outside. I also don't want to run my talent through the ringer doing that. So overall, I'm thinking, probably there's a lot of interiors. I want to start with those so that, the exteriors, which are less of the film, can be saved for the end. And also, with those being later in the film shoot, likely the weather will be slowly getting better. Again, I'm not expecting sunny and 70 when you're trying to shoot in February. But February does tend to, you never know. It's Pacific Northwest, I live in the Portland area, you really never know what the weather's going to be like. But February tends to be that beginning shift, where you have a lot more like 50-degree days than 30-degree days. And pretty much every other February, there'll be a stretch where it's like sunny and like 55, 60, and you forget where the hell you are. And, it'd be great if that happened, but again, I'm not banking on it. So with, again, the very low, I guess you could say, overhead that I'm working under, we're just going to have to do the best we can to schedule and deal with the weather. As it stands now, the script is roughly about 70 pages long. Now I'm still going through it, I'm still editing it, I'm still coming up with little things to add and subtract. So a finalized length has not fully been established, but it's likely going to be a short feature. The script's probably going to linger somewhere between 70 and 75 pages. when all is said and done. Probably about 5 or 6 shooting days, which is probably, sounds like it's not enough for a script that long, but I just did my last feature was about 77 pages, and we did that in 6 days, and only like 4 out of 6 of those days were like longer than 6 hours. There was 2 kind of short days in there. Because we had lots of scenes in the same general area, we had lots of interiors in one location, and the less traveling you have to do, the less transitioning you need to do between scenes when you're doing them in the same area, the more quicker you're producing things. And I certainly don't rush through film by any means, but I know what I want, and I know when the acting talent, as I'm viewing them through the camera, I know when they're hitting what I want them to hit. And I've been blessed and spoiled by some of the acting talent I've been able to have, considering how little money I have to do these films that I do. Just a little bit more and a little bit more, of a budget each time. And, I really know what I want. And, we obviously discuss it ahead of time. I've always gotten into real quick sync with the actors I work with. So, when that is all set, you'll be amazed how quickly you can get through a shoot and how all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you've shot a quarter of the thing and you don't know where the time went. The last film I did, we had like 6 shooting days shoved really close to each other, and it was really stressful. But when I think back, it's just like this blip in time, Whereas my first feature film, we had all the problems in the world. It took 6 months to finish the thing. But again, it's just the stuff you have to deal with when you're trying to do your very first feature and you're doing it entirely out of your own pocket. But the current film I'm working on is tentatively, for now, it might change, it might not, is tentatively titled In My Bedroom, which is a representation of the lead character in the film. And just to give you a very short introduction to kind of what the film is about, without giving much away, before I wrap, this is again just kind of an introduction. Hey, new project on the table. Gonna start doing it in a couple of months. Hopefully done, when I'm editing on it by March. Who the hell am I kidding? I always start editing my film projects once I have enough video and audio to start doing that. But, finished in the can, so to speak, by, the start of March would be fantastic, if not earlier. If we're only doing like 6 shooting days and we're trying to start end of January, start of February. But the essence of this film kind of started coming to me like in July of this year, roughly. I kind of started having a general idea about a kind of serial killer type film. And my original idea was it was interesting, but it felt like it was going to get very complicated, and I didn't really know where to go with it. And when you kind of have something going, and then it just hits a dead end, and a few days go by, a week goes by, and you just realize it's not going anywhere. Sometimes it's time to start moving on to another idea, or altering that particular idea towards something that you feel really grabs at you, and it's something that you can keep on moving forward, and you're not going to be hitting brick walls over and over again. So when I altered it, it revolves around a woman named Angela, who, so much about her is a mystery. But when you're first introduced to her, you don't really know what to think of her. She just seems like another normal person, living her life, doing some things right, doing some things wrong, like we all do. But as the film progresses, you start getting these little pieces, little snippets, little hints that her life isn't really at least what you're led to kind of think it is. And kind of as things progress, you start, discovering more and more about who she really is. And then even that gets knocked on its side. And I'm being very vague right now because, again, I don't want to reveal a lot. This film relies so much on little hints that you have to pick up on, and being, are you being led to believe something that isn't real, or are you, being led to believe something that you don't think is real, and then it ends up turning out to be real, all that stuff. It's very psychological, and it's very suspenseful, and I really don't want to discuss the backstory any more than I have to. I mean, the only place where I've gone detailed into the overall storyline is when I posted my casting call for it, and it's because, I mean, these people are going to be in the film, at least whoever I hire, so they know how it's going to start, they know what the middle's like, they know what the end's going to be like, so it's not like they don't need to be saved from spoilers. Like, I really want the rest of you to be kept from. Because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens. There's little things that happen you don't really understand what they're supposed to mean necessarily, and then it makes sense later. And they're, these characters that, like, you're led to think they're a certain way, and then they turn out to be this way. And there's a lot of that wrapped up in this. That's why I'm taking so much time to finalize and get the script exactly how I want it, nice and tight. If you're going from this scene into this scene, does that make sense? Is that how it should be? Should there be something else in there? Should I cut this scene because this moment goes better up against this one, and this scene is maybe good, and maybe adds something, some essence to the film, but really at the end of the day it's not necessary. All those little tiny things you really have to look at, not just in terms of putting a story together, however you want to do it, but also, you have to do this all in the you also have to be using your internal camera lens to look at what you're doing, and when how this certain scene ends, how are you going to end that visually, and then the next scene, how are you going to pick that up visually? What's the establishing shot for this scene? What's the end shot for this scene? Because those are going to butt up against each other. It's very easy to just kind of organize one scene and make it all go together, and then you go to the next scene, it's just blut, blut, and you get a lot of, change of pace, destabilization of a film, a lot, those little things that are real easy to miss for all of us. I really try to grab onto those and do something a little unique with those, because you're kind of taking advantage of an area of film where some others maybe either forgot or just weren't really paying attention or not paying close enough attention. And so you can kind of mess with those. And if you really take time to focus on those little things that maybe not a lot of other filmmakers are honing in on, you can kind of get people's attention with those little things that you do. So I like, kind of messing around with that. But as it stands now, I'm still a long way from putting this together. I have like another notebook that's almost full of everything I've shot listed so far. I've shot listed most of the film, probably about 80% of it, and I actually have like a few things here that are specific scenes that I still need to shot list, which I'm going to start doing now when this video is all finished. So it's all work and no play, and I'm cramming this up against a day job that's got me working, I mean, not really any more than the next person, but when you got your day job that's shoving 30-40 hours at you, and then you're trying to do your film on the outside, you get a little tired sometimes, but that's the thrill of the creation. It's just going. So anyway, that's all I really had to say. I just wanted to do a little introduction because I'm getting closer to having certain elements of the film done. I'm getting into the casting phase. Starting shooting is 2.5 months away, so I really want to start kind of getting the momentum going now and spreading the word now gradually, so that even by the time shooting begins, people already know about this film. Small budgeted, if that's a term, though it may be. So thank you so much for watching. There's going to be a lot more videos that I'm going to post here between now and when shooting begins, and then as shooting's happening, catching little bits and pieces while shooting is in progress, giving updates in the aftermath and the post-production phase, all that stuff. Trust me, there'll be a lot more to come. You're going to be kept in the know if you follow this YouTube. It's Silly Sister Pictures, that's my production name that I use, and that's the channel as well, because this channel's all focused in on just the film stuff that I do. So you can keep tuning in here, you subscribe for, further updates on this film and checking out any other little things I already have on here in relation to past film work. I'm going to be posting more on here than in the past. So there's a lot more to come. I'm really excited about this, and let's make a movie. Catch you later.